What is it? What is this self-existent thing? What's it like? What are its characteristics? What are its attributes, its powers, if any? It's the best thing ever, and it is one. Whole, complete, entire, sufficient unto itself. In other words, it never needed to change. Pussy whip. The first thing is whole, complete, entire, sufficient unto itself. Self-existent is one. Self-existent is the best thing ever. Where could better come from? There is only one thing until a second thing comes along. Self-existent needs no other thing. One thing, complete and entire unto itself, that has withstood eternity, being one thing and being one. Cannot get better. It only has one thing from which to get things. Itself. It has no other thing with which to get, by which when added to it, makes it better, or worse for that matter, and or becomes better or worse. It is. It has always just been. And as a common man, I hear always, and use the concept of time to get a handle and a hold on it. An understanding of it in my mind, best as I can have an understanding of such a wonderful and, to me, very transcendent thing. So, time. Let's start with this much ballyhooed and spoken about age of the universe. The scientists are saying about 13.8 billion years. Multiply that by, 13.8 billion. That's 190 billion years. And what's 190 billion years compared to always? Next to nothing. That's what. Not even a tenth, not even a hundredth, not a millionth, not even a billionth. Next to nothing. And how is it that modern science, delivering such marvels throughout our enlightened lifetimes, can do without such a concept, such a thing? Marvels. And yet nothing is marvelous as a thing that's always been. Why, they have to keep up with even more marvelous things, even making thinking things, and making thinking things that can make things and create things, and can improve themselves and make their own selves better. We've passed the point where a human, a person, can't tell the difference between another person and one of these thinking machines. Marvelous. Marvelous. The latest and the greatest leave the ancient far behind. Assign what's gone before as outdated, useless. Times where everything seemed a big mystery. We know stuff now. And all the stuff we know, we just got to stuff it into these always getting better thinking machines and finally be able to ask it why. Right?
Now, ask the general.
A question that can't be answered.
Impossible.
Allow me to ask it.
Go ahead. What was the question? What was it?
W-H-Y. Question mark.
Why?
Why?
Why? Yep. The answer's just around the bend. Too bad. Too bad for all those lumpkins that went before us. Too bad they lived in such times where ghosts, devils, and angels were under every rock, and the hierarchy told you what was what. The fog is lifted, and science has led the way. At least what part of science could get funded that hadn't been defunded, debunked, dismissed, and blacklisted. Big pharma, big food, big science. It has dismissed personhood to the extent and so much that persons are forming their own god by silicon and code nowadays, just as in past times we did it by silver and gold. Common sense can answer quite swiftly. It can use many illustrations to get across its point. Here's a rather picturesque one. It involves asking some guy at work, "How busy are you?" And his response, perhaps you've heard it: "Busier than a one-legged man in a ass-kicking contest." The first thing is one thing. It has no other part with which it may effect a change within itself, so as to go from one lesser place or condition or character to another better one. It's stuck. Just like you are stuck, being one thing. Why, I have legs and bones and all kinds of parts, you say. But, I say, what about you? The you were in kindergarten is the same you sitting in that chair right now. No change. Nothing better. The heck, you say. You say, I'm a whole lot better today than way back then. But again, I say, and it's all common sense. Consider the difference between you way back then, in kindergarten, and some friend you had back then, in kindergarten. Are you as different now from the you were in kindergarten than the difference between the you back in kindergarten and your friend back there in kindergarten? Well, of course not. Start making sense here, buddy. Of course I'm the same person. Of course I'm the same person in that respect. Friends, that's all the respect I need. In that respect, you are the same person, and you will never change. The answer pathway has been designed for the common man, using the most common sense of all, the most available know-how out there. There is no search for the rare, elusive elixir back out in some nondescript and secret location, accessible only after almost insurmountable feats of strength, proofs of bravery, and horrible, humiliating rites of passage and initiation. Nope. All of that crap is to cover for the fact that there's nothing there. There is some thinking involved, but not of the class where we must wait for the spiritual Einsteins, prophets of perplexity, to tally the total and benefit us regular guys with their beneficious benevolence. Average Joe has always had it in his hand to derive why. That is its answer. And my talk here is to revive for all of us average Joes that kick ass, whoop ass, get the bullshit out of the way, and off the road. Since nothing comes from nothing, and since only one thing has always been, that one first thing had no way of getting better. It could not get better on its own. All it was one thing. It could not grow some second thing within it, which added to it would make it, the first thing, better. And also the result would be that it was two or more things. And it, the first thing, can't make anything better than itself, if it can make anything at all.
The one first thing is all it is till everything comes from it.
So can better than it come from it? Common sense says no, never. It was the only thing. Now there are other things, so all things came from it. Logic. It's stuck, and we are stuck, with it being the best thing ever. Now you just sit back and see if you can rest easy on that. Or if something inside you, conditioned or trained by the scientists' evolutionary theory, as we all are, by one or another means, rises up and says, things get better. Yeah, you just go ahead and by common sense, which has gotten us this far, now speaks otherwise. I say that common sense says that the one first thing is, was, and always will be the best thing ever. If you think otherwise and think I'm all wrong, you will have to instead put lights, camera, focus, and attention on such statements as evolution has proven that things get better over time by chance. Blah, blah, blah. But there is not one set of fossils that prove it. Not one. It's all fossils of the gaps. It's so against common sense and contrary to all we know that it must be repeated, often repeated, to hammer it like religious prayer into our heads. The story, and all the big guys and gals with all the college degrees, brainiacs with papers to prove it, telling us this story, say it happened, so it happened. But the lowly man in common sense knows it's bullshit and steers clear of that concert and its music. Not one set of fossils, not even one, where it's one species at one end and another species at the other, exist. It's all supposition, blanks filled in with hooey, however many big words they use to get you and keep you hoodwinked. Common sense takes you gently by the hand and keeps you from that dreaming. The self-existent thing is the best thing compared with every other thing, due to one capacity in the most basic category and league, which all things that are members of, existence. In this most basic category of all, that things exist, there is one of those things that has always existed. I'm not weaving anything in here, my friends. These kind of pronouncements and statements and sayings and points are the gist of our talk, our trip, our journey to why. Intelligence, power, wealth, creativity, ingenuity, empathy, affection, strength, perseverance, beauty, eloquence, thinking on the fly, thinking on your feet, improvisational, or whatever else commodity, skill, talent, attribute, or resource is at best a secondary consideration to the best category and consideration of all, being. Talk about something we take for granted. Bare being takes the cake. In the category of bare being, the most important of all, for if they don't exist, they're at best a wish to all comers and clowns far and wide, schemers and dreamers, potentates and potato mates, judges and queens, movers and shakers, givers and takers, heroes and fakers, from dung heaps to blazing stars and undiscovered things as well. One of us has always been. None of you can match that. In that one respect and one respect alone, to exist, to be, the most necessary and basic of all respects, out of all things that are, were, or who may or will be, one of those things, always was. And on that alone, each and every other thing that exists, past, present, future, actual, supposed, material, immaterial, whether having a voice or supplied with a voice by those who do, had better say, as a thing that is, to the thing that always was, well, that's better than me. That's better than what I am. And so they all stacked together, all having to admit each as a thing that is, that the thing that always was is better at doing the most basic of tasks, being, existing, since each thing must rightly admit it when brought into the scales, even everything together on one side of the scales, and that one thing alone on the other. What do you think? Any thoughts? That one thing, that one self-existent thing, that one thing that has always been, nailed inside of the scales, hard against the tabletop, and sends everything on their side of the scales flying off into the air, off into nothing, as nothing, in comparison to it, announcing as they fly, yes, you're the best. Even a rock that has always been is better than 1,000 Einsteins and 1,000,000 Marilyn Monroes and Taylor Swifts, Trumps, Rothschilds and Rockefellers, Washingtons and Wesleys, and is worth their contemplation, veneration, worship, reverence, thought, dedication, and discovery, each doing their best and only to get to it, no matter the cost of the bus trip there, or even if they had to go it alone, even if it was, it always was. Why the heck did I write it that way? All of their intelligence and beauty, magnetism and money would be a pittance compared with anything that has always been. Yet even a rock that's always been is better than 10,000 geniuses and glorious babes together, times infinity into the future. For that rock has infinity into the infinite past, covered all by itself. And you're going to have to make up stories and dreams to excuse yourself from that. It was. It is. Whatever came up to stop it, that can stop it. It will always be. An incomparable record at existing was all it took to take the prize at being the best. Who'd have thought?